Welcome to How Kick-Ass Women Inspire. Today's guest is the founder and general partner of Coyote Ventures. This is an early stage venture capital fund that specializes in women's health and wellness. I mean, she's fueling the companies that will solve the problems that we have. Her journey in launching this innovative, impact-focused set of products actually began at Impossible Foods, where she was the 12th employee and contributed to the development and launch of the Impossible Burger. If you haven't tried it, you must go get that. So she is an innovation expert goddess and the one that we all need to be following. And she's been an innovation consultant. She's worked with startups around the globe, and she's served as a principal at a family office. And she's an LP in women-led funds. She's shown her dedication to empowering women entrepreneurs over and over. This woman is the real deal. And her angel investments have all turned into unicorns. Like, that is stunning. Solidly solidifying her reputation as a super savvy investor. Again, you want to follow Jessica. With an impressive background, she actually has an MS in biochemistry from UC San Diego. She's got an MBA from the Presidio Graduate School and a BA in philosophy from Texas State University. She's got it all. With her remarkable achievements and commitment to making a positive impact in the world, my friend Jessica Karr, thank you so much for being with us today. You are a force to be reckoned with, and I'm so honored to spend a couple minutes with you today. You're the one to watch.
Wow, that's the best intro ever. I'm going to listen to that when I need to personally feel uplifted. Thank you. It's so great to be here, and you're definitely a role model.
It's so great to be partnering with you, and I can't wait to dig in because you're such a trailblazer and so brilliant. Can we first start with some fun stuff? What's that song that uplifts you, that either gives you for the times that are tough or the times that are good when you want to celebrate?
I love When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin. I think that it's such a jam. It's, the drums, the harmonica, just like when the song starts playing, I have to just stop what I'm doing. And it's just such a jam out. It makes me really happy.
Nice. I wish I could see you in your socks in your kitchen dancing around to that.
I'll post a video.
So there's so much I want to talk to you about, but could you, let's talk about your fund, because you're such an innovative and powerful player in this space. What is the meaning of Coyote Ventures?
So I thought of this name. I read Women Who Run with the Wolves at definitely a time where I was thinking a lot about gender equality and just my own path and how my gender's just played a pivotal role in a lot of the dynamics, professional, personal, and just what does it mean to be female in this business world that's been changing, and also just being a female in life. And I think that book is very, very beautiful, telling everything through storytelling in terms of like what it is to be female and
run with the wolves.
Exactly. So instead of wolf, it's coyote for a few reasons. I had recently been to Sedona and went to one of the medicine wheels, and there's 4 directions, and coyote is one of the directions. So the story was that there was animals that were fighting over who ruled over the animal kingdom, and there was a bear and a coyote and an eagle. I'm blanking on the other one, but they all came together, and they said like it kind of came that they all have different skill sets. They all have different sort of like, and there's 4 directions, there's 4 seasons, there's a lot of meaning behind 4. And so Coyote was the stage where they're there to teach you a lesson, like the trickster, but it's really part of the critical growth of your life. And it's also part of summer. So like after the spring, all of the seeds you plant turn into fruits that you harvest. And so I thought that was also beautiful in terms of the life of companies. This is sort of like, this is a growth phase. And I mean, not that we're doing growth stage investing, but the seeds have an element to grow. And local to San Francisco, where we both live, lots of coyotes went a little bit wild during COVID. There's pictures of them downtown and everywhere. And, I happened to see coyotes at some significant points in my journey. And I knew that that was always a sign, according to the Native American omens. So yeah, a lot of layers behind the story.
Yeah, and your background. I mean, you got every degree one can get almost. You clearly are on a lifelong journey to learn and have an impact. So it feels like it sort of hits the nail on the head in so many ways. But you decided to focus on healthcare solutions. Can you talk a little bit about why you feel like this is the most important thesis for you, and sort of what is your hope by making these kinds of investments?
Definitely. I found it very important to serve women. And like I said, I just felt like there are ways of being female in the world that don't fit into sort of the patriarchal history, and seeing how women's health exactly fit into that. And so I did start the research around, like, on the personal side, around like, what was the orgasm gap? Why is this happening? Why is it such a societal thing, but also a level of women misunderstanding their own bodies as well. And so when I branched off into health overall, I saw so many other examples beyond sexual wellness, where there was women being banned from clinical trials, for example, and having more adverse reactions to medications. And even just looking at some of the chronic conditions women suffer from that are misunderstood, not researched. And so, it all added up to me in terms of like how it contributes to overall gender equality, and having worked a lot in the sustainability side of things, and seeing how they can't really move the needle without paying attention to like gender equality, racial equality, socioeconomic issues, and just seeing like people should recognize more like how a lot of these things intersect as well.
Well, thank you so much, because I think I'm older than you are, I'm 55, and I look back and I think like, Jesus, the cost of not having good health care to my family alone, of like 10 years of undiagnosed thyroid disease, that kind of thing. It's like, that's outrageous that we have not figured some of this stuff out. The cost to society, to employers, to families is just extraordinary. You're doing so much outside of the venture firm, and in so many ways, you're like the women and girls activist and advocate. How are you thinking about your own thesis about how to uplift women and girls in general?
I mean, I think within our thesis, there's several layers of different life stages of women and girls, and different areas of health, different stages of their lives, and just different approaches. And so I think that there's levels in terms of like, who are the women running the companies? And then in our own team, I have a lot of venture partners and fellows, younger professionals, and just enjoy also like working with a younger generation, and it helps them with their career development and everything, and getting sort of breaking into VC. So I really enjoy having this team. And then also we have a lot of women LPs, and so we're serving them in terms of empowering financially, which I know, shout out to the new table. So excited to be working with you on that, because it's very important. And then the products and services that these companies are producing. And so one of them was looking at, okay, all of condoms like are targeted towards men, like the advertising. And so what if we targeted towards women?
They're really big
What is that?
condoms. You must be extra, extra large.
Yeah. So we're like, oh, how about we just make something like more clean label, more like, beautiful design. So that's mod. And then flex companies, also came out of a personal girl need, where it's like, okay, periods suck. And the founder tended to get yeast infections at every period, and said like, okay, what's an alternative to tampons and pads? And so she found this technology that's the flex disc, and just like something that hadn't been innovated and since it ever was in such. So really cool things that I'm like, yeah, they're definitely touching people's lives in different ways.
Do you think that you integrate any particularly feminine values in how you do your work, and maybe even things that others could consider as we sort of build the business ecosystems we're all caring about?
Yes, I think that that's a very important point. I think that the feminine values tend to be, I think that we're all evolving towards that, even men. And the feminine values are things like collaboration, listening to your intuition more, and really like the skill of listening to other people and sort of being generative with, other people. So that kind of goes back to the collaboration. And yeah, I definitely think Women Who Run with the Wolves has so many examples of those. And then there's another book called Pussy that actually like lists what are feminine values. So I think like, whatever, if you get anything else out of that book, I think it's pretty interesting. But that also helped me understand on one end, there's sort of like the feminine, and then some of the masculine way of working was more like, hey, we're going to do things like logical order, we're going to compete with each other. And I think moving into a new paradigm of how everyone is working will definitely make the world a better place. And I've definitely worked in very male dominated places, and going to work every day felt like going to battle, like, oh, I have to go argue about this. And it's just like, it's exhausting. And so I definitely think that this is a really important thing to think about, even if it is a little abstract, like how can we move more into that? And it would definitely make a life a lot easier.
Okay, so do you believe that it's sort of a balance of masculine and feminine characteristics that is the trick? You just described some of the masculine characteristics. Are there female or feminine characteristics that you're like, listen, we definitely need more of this? Like you just said, listening to people, being collaborative. What else might be a good thing to add to the balance?
I mean, there are good things in the masculine traits as well. So I'm glad you said that, because it's not fully moving to one or the other. It's a little bit of yin and yang, and a lot of people have both values. But I think, some historical women leaders who were some of the first tended to mock like being in the masculine values. And I think that was like a detriment to a lot of them, and also exhausting to them. So I think in the balance that we have both of those, logic with intuition, collaboration with competition. So yeah, I don't have like the whole list in front of me, but those are some.
No, I love that you just described that. And the thing that came up for me is, listen, we could be hard driving to get results. COVID hits. What are you going to do? People are in a panic. They don't know if the world's going to end or if they can ever find toilet paper again. You couldn't, as a leader, be like, did you do your 10 today? It's like you actually have to pull out another side of yourself and be able to actually move between both types of leadership, right? So
Yeah. There's
right?
like flexibility, adaptability, like long-term thinking versus short-term thinking.
I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. My friends, this is the first generation of us. We have a huge opportunity. We have power and influence and wealth. And we can start building the tables where we get the prime seats. Today, we want to invite you to join us as investors in venture. I know no one's asked you to do it before. It might be something that seems scary or foreign, but I promise you it's not that different than investing in a mutual fund where your retirement funds are. I want you to lean in and just learn a little bit more. How about making the commitment that in the next 12 months, you can give yourself 12 months to figure it out and to take a step. I want to invite you to be part of the new table of power and influence and wealth. You're invited. I want to sit at the table with you because we're going to make big change. We're going to make the world we've been dreaming of. Okay, so you're the healthcare solutions goddess. What do you do yourself to stay healthy and inspired? Because you're doing the hard stuff. You're really breaking through and breaking glass ceilings every day. So what do you do to make sure that you can keep yourself shored up?
Yeah, I do a lot. This list is very long, but I think it's important to talk about and, let people know that it is better if you can push reset a little bit. And like when I'm taking breaks, away from the Zoom and the grind, it clears my head. And then I'm very clear on like solutions. And there's important decisions to make every day that, can be stressful if you don't stop and just digest. So some of my top things, I love the water. I love being in the water. So I swim in San Francisco Bay, and it feels
How often do you do that?
I go at least once a week.
Right.
hopefully more when it's, when I can, but there's a whole process. There's a sauna at the end. So the sauna is really key.
Good.
Yeah, I love that. I love, let's see, also just other ways of exercising, like, and also doing yoga. I try to take like, a morning routine with some journaling. And also, seeing friends is very restorative. So good to know people that love you and support you, friends and family, spending time. I love cooking. Like, I think it's very empowering. Food is so expensive right now. You go to a restaurant, it's like over $50. I think it's very empowering to be like, I just made this delicious thing and I feel empowered by not having to spend a lot of money for it. I think like tasting good food, it also just makes your brain happy too.
Well, you are such an extraordinary inspiration to me and so many women I know. You are so beloved. Who inspires you? Like, who fills up your cup?
People like you, and you do as well. So you're very inspiring. I think seeing the way you support other women, and just I'm very impressed with how much you do. It's so many things and they're all very strategic and important as well. So you're on my list. I have a lot of supportive, like some of my LPs, Susan Solinsky, she's one of our first.
She's everybody's number one.
Yeah. She's just, every time I open LinkedIn, it's like another nice comment to someone. And it's just like, that's so sweet. And I would say some of my family too. My grandma got a degree in accounting when she was at the age that she could have just got married and not done anything. I thought that was very impressive. That's like pre-calculators, like doing math. I think that's a little trippy to me. Like, I just do Excel, I don't want to write it down on a piece of paper. And so I think that's pretty cute. So, a long list of people with great values that I want to pull from.
Yeah, wonderful. So when you think about your own investing sort of thesis, you've invested from angel investments that went unicorn to a venture firm. How do you think about investing? Like, how do you go about doing it?
Yeah, that is a pretty hard question. I mean, it's definitely developed over time as well, the process where, in the beginning you're looking at, I was doing lots of different areas and then just really laser focused into women's health. And so a few top things like top of mind. First, I look at what is the level of innovation. So sometimes it's like, okay, there's nice that this is like an access play, or this is like especially don't want to look at things that are copycats. That's definitely a hard no. But I think looking at something and being like, wow, this is completely overlooked. This is a really cool solution. It's really, you can see the originality behind some of these new things. And so I love when I see that combined with authenticity of like who the team is and how they go about making that, how they went about building. And those are pretty much like when I start out, those are the two things I look at. And then, but you also have to look at, how do I make money now for my LPs? And so a lot of that is like, what is this overall vision? Like, how could they grow to own this huge market? And just making sure that they are savvy, with all of the areas that they need to be savvy, especially financials, business development. Usually we really heavily look at the product and science as well, and making sure they're people I want to talk to. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this seems cool, but I get on the phone, I'm like, they just like, have some offness. And so there is a lot of intuition on like, who do you trust? And an important part now is just understanding like who people's networks are too, because in this time where companies are shutting and having trouble raising, you have to also make sure like, hey, we can help a lot. We have our network to help, but we can't drive, we can't just sit there and do their business development. Like, who's their network? We can contribute, but we can't fully transfer our own network. So that's something important over time to really build a network. And when you're launching a company, like who's really able to support you.
Those are fantastic. And one of the things you just said was kind of that feel for the entrepreneur. And I think it's so critical because we've both been, you're going to be in bed with this person, 7 years, you're going to be helping them when times are tough. You're going to get the calls at midnight. You're going to also get the celebrations and they'll be on a high and, are they going to keep you close even when the times are great, right? So to me, that's also been part of the problem in venture, because that's why the majority of investors, venture investors, are men. And when most of us feel more comfortable with somebody who we get. And I think that's why only 2% of venture funding goes to companies founded by women, right? What percentage of your investments are companies with women founders?
100% of our CEOs are women. There's some male co-founders, which I think sometimes I definitely think that that's a good setup if they're like COO.
Yeah.
So yeah, really proud of that.
What difference do you think it makes to them to have a woman on their cap table as sort of an investor align, supporting them?
Yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference. And I would say like on backing them, but also in the diligence process, I'm like, hey, we can skip the problem slide. We can skip a couple of meetings, even that like educating on the market, like it saves a lot. And I've definitely backed a few where it's pretty much all men on the cap table. Otherwise, there's definitely some good like female syndicates I've been part of as well. But yeah, a couple of them go about the fundraising process and they don't a lot of times intentionally look for female investors. And I've heard some feedback from some of them that like I was the only female VC they pitched, which in my world, I'm like, friends with you and so many women GPs. I'm like, that still happens. Like in my little bubble, I'm kind of shocked, but I guess that's because that's a bubble.
Yeah, maybe, but there's 500 of us running venture firms, women. So we actually have, for the first time ever, we have this really great infrastructure of us. And people who have got great track records like you, my gosh, like you are like the real deal. And anyone who cares about solutions for women's health needs to take a second look at what you're doing, because this is all those examples you gave. It's like, I just want to say yes, yes, yes to every single one of the things that you said. So we're almost out of time. It's been so much fun I hope to be able to amplify this message that you have with lots and lots of people. If you could leave people with a final piece of advice or wisdom, what would that be? What message do you want the world to know?
Think more about your values and how you can bring them forth in your work, and think more like, where did they come from? How can you use them to uplift you as an authentic person more.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. Jessica, how can people find you? If people are like, I need to invest in this venture firm, how do they find you?
LinkedIn is great. I don't check Twitter a lot, but yes, LinkedIn, Jessica Karr, Karr. I'm on there all day, all night. So
Coyote Ventures. All right, everyone, you met her. You know who's solving and fueling the solutions of tomorrow for all of the healthcare that we need to see that we haven't seen yet. So much blue ocean opportunity for all of us, and for you especially, Jessica. So thank you for being with us today.
It's been so fun. Thank you, Julie.